After the Salvator Mundi was involved in one of the alleged greatest art scams in history, it went to auction. When the gavel cracked, another historic moment was achieved. The most expensive painting in history, despite it having dubious authenticity.
Art collector who would read all of these critics who poo-pooed the thing, said it wasn't worthwhile, may not even be a Da Vinci, and I don't think anyone would pay up for something that they thought didn't have value in the art world. It feels to me like it's somebody who just is very passionate about it. I don't know. You're right.
It took several weeks, but the mystery buyer would eventually be exposed. About a month after the auction, the New York Times revealed that the buyer was a prince of Saudi Arabia, and it would later be discovered that he was acting as a proxy for the Saudi de facto king, crowned Prince Mohammed bin Salman, also known by his initials MBS. Why the crowned prince purchased a Christian painting is a matter of debate. Some have speculated that it was a PR move to cover up the atrocities MBS was committing in the Yemen Civil War and his recent kidnapping of the Lebanese President. Others have suggested that he purchased it to slight his neighboring rivals, Qatar, who were also fond of collecting expensive art. The Crown Prince was also spearheading cultural reforms that would make Saudi Arabia more friendly to tourism. Perhaps this painting was part of that objective. The most likely reason is that he bought it as a gift for the Louvre Abu Dhabi as a public display of kindness, while also solidifying his alliance with the United Arab Emirates. The Louvre Abu Dhabi is a new $1 billion art museum. It has what can be simplified as a licensing agreement with the original Louvre in Paris. In exchange for using the Louvre name and being able to borrow some French pieces, the museum paid their French counterparts nearly $400 million. While a press release confirmed that the painting would be given to the Louvre Abu Dhabi, the Salvator Mundi never found its way to the United Arab Emirates. In fact, it hadn't been seen by the public since the auction for some time. The doubters of the painting's authenticity were starting to get more attention, as the painting's absence did raise questions.
If you bought the most famous painting in the entire world by the most famous artist who ever lived at the highest price ever paid, why are you hiding it? Might the painting be a fake? You don't have the confidence to show the most famous new painting in the world?
Another major Da Vinci expert would cast doubt over the Salvator Mundi. Matthew Landris, a Leonardo scholar at Oxford, publicly shared his doubt over the authorship. Landris came to the conclusion that this painting was primarily done by one of Da Vinci's students, with the master contributing maybe 5 to 20% of the finished work. Other scholars who doubted this as a work of Da Vinci were starting to get more media attention.
The image of Jesus is one of fewer than 24 works attributed to Renaissance master Leonardo da Vinci. But in a new book, one author paints a different picture. He questions whether the painting is a genuine Leonardo and if its incredible sale price was really the result of some over-the-top marketing.
The media was awakening from their stupor, casted by Christie's marketing apparatus. And the crowned prince began to worry over his highly expensive painting. He needed to secure an accreditation that would silence all skeptics. He wanted it exhibited directly next to its supposed female counterpart, the Mona Lisa. The Louvre was planning to have a Grand Da Vinci exhibit in 2019. Much like the National Gallery did 8 years earlier, Da Vinci paintings from around the world would be curated for viewing in a single location. Unlike the National Gallery, the Louvre's exhibition would include the Mona Lisa. The crowned prince needed to get the Salvator Mundi into that exhibition to silence all the doubters of the painting's authenticity. This is where the story starts to get murky, as different facts would point us in different directions. A French documentary called Savior for Sale, which just premiered in April of 2021, interviewed 2 anonymous sources who shed some light on this murky issue. Both men were presented as senior officials in the French government. According to these sources, MBS pressured French President Emmanuel Macron to force the Louvre into authenticating the painting and to display it next to the Mona Lisa. In exchange, Macron would receive diplomatic and economic favors. Macron didn't agree to the deal and instructed the Louvre to make its own independent conclusion. After Macron made this decision, His Minister of Foreign Affairs, Jean-Yves Le Drian, continued to pressure the Louvre into accommodating the Saudis' request, despite the president's orders. It seemed that the Louvre's decision would have an impact on the diplomatic relationship between the Saudis and the French. Despite the pressure from Le Drian, the Louvre never accepted the Salvator Mundi for the exhibit, but a leaked book showed how close they were to submitting to MBS's request. During the Da Vinci exhibit, the Louvre's bookstore accidentally sold a book that wasn't supposed to be made available to the public. This book was co-authored by one of the Louvre's curators and two researchers from the acclaimed Art Research Center, C2RMF. While the book presents the scholarly disputes of the Salvator Mundi's authorship, all three of the writers endorsed the painting as a bona fide Da Vinci. It seems that the Louvre was prepared to authenticate the Salvator Mundi had a deal been brokered. This book that provided the authentication was never meant to see the light of day. For one reason or another, it was accidentally stocked in the Louvre's gift shop, and a few copies were purchased by the public. As no deal was made, the Louvre has not offered an official opinion on the Salvator Mundi's authorship. The museum has a long-standing policy to never comment on works that were never shown in its halls. There are several anonymous Louvre staffers who have made comments to the media, and much like the Da Vinci scholars, these anonymous staffers have conflicting opinions. The Salvator Mundi has not been seen by the public since the Christie's auction. Its whereabouts are unknown, with some speculating it is in a Swiss warehouse, and others believing that it's on the Crown Prince's yacht. This isn't the end of the saga of the Salvator Mundi, but until more sources come forward, this is all we know.